Welcome to Metaphysical Worldwide Presents, your weekly podcast for all things metaphysical. I'm Jamie Ahern, and I'm sitting in with
Jen Bergeson, and collectively, we are the co-founders of Metaphysical Worldwide. And on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about spiritual roadblocks, which wasn't really what we were supposed to be talking about this week, but we've decided to kind of delve into that. And right, Jamie? I mean, before we do, though, we want to give our disclaimer for sure.
Yeah.
What do we always tell people?
We cuss like sailors, so if you have kids around, you might want to get them out of the room or put some headphones on.
Yeah, do something. We don't want to corrupt them with our foul language because not that we really give. I don't give a shit that much, I guess, but I'm just being courteous to people.
I know, right? I'm sure they've heard worse. Out there in the world.
Definitely. So let's talk about why we chose to change, I guess, the theme of today. I think for me, I've been working with a client who has run into some spiritual roadblocks on her journey. And it got me thinking that there's a lot of people out there that probably have the same issue. I know personally I did. And I kind of felt like that was, I don't know, it just seemed more important to talk about that, I think, while it was still on my mind than to have to schedule it down the road, because especially with everything going on in the world today, people might just feel like they're at their end or like, I'm just going to give up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
especially people who do a lot of spiritual work, a lot of shadow work and stuff like that. It's difficult. It
can get really hard to dive into things and to face your truth or to face your demons, I guess, sometimes.
Well, because the demons do tend to show up when you're doing your spiritual work, you know. This one particular client of mine, I can't remember exactly how many years she's been doing this journey, but she just feels like, she's like, God, I just feel like I'm living more, like I'm not living on earth, if that makes sense. Like she's like, I feel like I'm constantly trying to get back to source while I'm still here. She says, and I don't feel like that's really healthy.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I had to remind her that the spiritual journey in the physical body is a very difficult thing. And it's completely healthy to take a break if you need to take a break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You don't want to live, breathe, and eat this shit all day long.
No,
you need to have breaks. Be grounded. Be grounded.
Right. And there's going to be times where there's going to be highs and lows. Like, my shadow work, I worked on it for a little bit and I haven't really touched it in a while, but it's just not time. So everything is happening in its own time. I think, not just spiritually roadblocks, but I think there's roadblocks constantly, like, especially for me, just daily, like, just daily routines get in the way, or mentally, you get exhausted mentally, and it's hard to pick that back up again because you're just so drained.
Right.
So what were some outcomes with that?
Well, one of the biggest things that she was, and I felt really bad. And obviously we're not going to, for confidentiality, we're not going to give names and stuff like that. We won't do that here, but she did give me permission to tell her story because I said, it's really important that other people hear this, especially people who are new to the journey. Like, a lot of people don't realize what they're getting themselves into sometimes. But the most profound thing that she had said to me in session was, she says, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm failing at doing the work because I feel like it's never enough, because I don't feel like I'm progressing in a way. And that's when I really had to step in and say, at this point, you should really just take a break, because no one fails. No one fails on their spiritual journey. I don't care how much of a failure you think you are. You're absolutely not. And I think it's expected for you, just for the perspective aspect of the journey,
Mm-hmm.
to delve into the work, do your shadow work, um, investigate different spiritual aspects of yourself, themes and concepts and stuff like that. But then take a step back and live in the physical. We're here. We're here in the
Yeah.
physical. You can't just be out, meditating all day long. You've got
Right.
to, like,
Right.
go to work. You've got to take care of your kids. You've got to
Right.
go grocery shopping, clean the house, whatever.
You
You
got to
know,
eat. Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
eat, and also you have to be able to relate to people around you. And I had said that to her. I said, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, is it because you are surrounded by people who are not on the same journey that
Mm-hmm.
you're on, so you don't feel like you have anything in common with people anymore? And sometimes you'll see that with people who have done a lot of work. I have felt that myself. Not recently, but in the past, I've felt that. Like, it's like I don't feel, and it's not that I feel like I'm better than anybody, because I'm not.
No, no. Yeah.
It's not
But you
about
just
that.
feel like
I can't relate.
they can't relate to what you're talking about, right? When I
Yeah.
try, I mean, I think that's also that happens with me and some of my family when I try to explain certain things that spiritual things, they just kind of look at you like, not you're
Hmm.
crazy, but just kind of like they don't get it.
Hmm.
Like, and you start feeling like I'm explaining this to them and they don't get it. So it just we don't have anything in common. We don't have anything to talk about. Like it's not
Right.
it's it there if somebody doesn't want to show interest in it, then it's going to be
Right.
hard to explain. So I can
And
understand
it's
that too.
yeah, and
If you
it's
don't have your
normal.
people, if you don't have
Sure.
people experiencing the same sort of journey, it can
Hmm.
be cause of roadblocks as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, it's normal to want to talk about especially cool experiences that you have. Maybe you've astro traveled. Maybe you've had, these really intense lucid dreams, or you've had um spirits come to you sometimes. You've
Hmm.
had, like, things that happen to you that you could not explain. There's no explanation for it. Other people they don't tend to, if they haven't experienced something similar, or if they kind of look at you like, are you just making this shit up? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they kind of do. I mean, and I think people who've had, like, near death experiences and stuff like that,
Oh
um
yeah.
they kind of feel like that too sometimes, I've
Right.
heard.
Yeah.
So, like I said to her, I said, the number one thing when you're on your journey, and this is what makes your personal journey, and personal truth, by the way, not to bring that back up, but we did do that show,
Yep. Yep.
a couple weeks ago or whatever. But what makes it different from, like, organized religion, right, is that your specific journey is going to be so individualized to
Yeah.
you. You can't find your journey in a book anywhere. You
No.
can't pick it up and say,
No.
look, it's right here in the book. Like, you can't do that. So sometimes you start feeling a little crazy, and I think when people go like down the rabbit hole spiritually,
Hmm.
that's when you have to be careful of, like, spiritual psychosis. You know what I
Okay.
mean by
What's
that?
well,
It's when
elaborate.
you it's when you just it's just like you just get into, like, this void. It's almost like a void of reality,
Hmm.
because you're so focused on other things that you're experiencing spiritually, that you're not grounded enough. You're not in touch with with fucking reality.
Yeah.
You're just
Okay.
all over the place. You're not really taking care of the things that you need to take
Right.
care of,
Yeah.
or taking care of yourself in a healthy way. And I think that's why, when I tell people, when you're starting your journey, don't be emotional about it, because I feel like
Hmm.
the emotional side of you starts to kick in, and that's what
Yeah.
draws you in, or sucks you in, to this vortex of spirituality.
Well,
So
how
remember,
can you not be emotional though? Like,
well, I'm a
right? I
Capricorn.
mean,
It's
well,
very
for
easy
you
for me to
maybe.
not be emotional. Um,
I mean, you're going when you're
yeah,
doing your personal truth and your healing and your
yeah.
shadow work, it is emotional.
Those things are, yeah, but I'm talking about the other experiences that you might have, like, um, maybe you have, like I said, the lucid dream or
Oh,
something like
okay.
that, or like, you've had a visitation from a spirit or something like that.
Okay.
Um, all these different things, like, things that are tangible to you, but
Yeah.
would not be tangible to anybody else because they weren't there and they didn't actually experience it. Those are
Uh-huh.
the things where it's kind of like, don't be emotional when you look at it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Take a
Yeah.
step back and look at it and don't let it, excuse me, don't let it
Don't let it run
you
your life.
run you. Yeah. Don't let it run you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's got
I
to
got
be a
that.
balance between, the spiritual work that you do and this physical reality that you live in. And you can't expect things to happen every single day. So, and I mean, they do to some people, but they don't
Right.
do to all people. And like I
Yeah.
was telling her, if you're sitting there meditating and you're expecting a result from that, you're
Mm-hmm.
expecting something to happen, because you're like, I'm asking my spirit guides to send me a message,
Right.
send me a sign, God damn it. And I'm looking out the window and I'm
Yeah.
looking for this and I'm looking for that. And I'm
Every
not
day you're
seeing
looking
it.
for a sign. Right.
Every day you're looking for something. Every day you're pulling a tarot card. Every day you're doing something. And it's like, but that's not really um healthy to be
Yeah.
all consuming in anything, really.
Yeah,
Is
too
not
much of
really,
anything
yeah,
is not healthy. But yeah, I
yeah.
can see what you're saying. You're meditating and just waiting for, and then that's kind of, I guess, where the block comes in because you're sitting there meditating and waiting for something to happen, waiting, waiting,
Hmm.
waiting. Nothing's happening. So now you're just like, not
Right,
you just you create your own roadblocks because you're you're expecting too much. Like you got to
right.
just let it flow, let it happen,
Let things
let it
happen
be.
organically. I mean, things are not
Yes.
gonna, I mean, and your spirit guides, they're not here to like hold your hand and walk you through life.
Right. There-
And again,
I
in
mean,
like I said to her, I said, in my experience with my guides, they're not emotional beings at all. They don't care what happens, because I'll tell you, if your spirit guides cared emotionally about you,
right.
they wouldn't
Hmm.
have let me break my leg in 2001. Okay, my ankle. I broke it 3 times. I broke it in 3 places. It was horrible. It was the worst. It was a hard, really bad break.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have let me go through that divorce. You wouldn't have let me
Right.
lose when my nephew was killed. You wouldn't have let that happen.
Yeah.
All of
Right.
these things that
Losing someone. Yeah.
losing somebody, yeah, nobody would have to experience pain. I mean, and
Hmm.
that's the other thing. So it's like, because she did say to me, well, I just feel like I'm never going to be good enough for
Mm.
them. See, and that's the danger. Some of the dangers of spirituality,
Hmm.
of this type of spirituality, where it's your own personal journey, and you're like, I can see how she would feel like she's not good enough if she's not getting the signs, from her guide. She's
Right.
not getting answers.
Exactly.
She's not getting,
Like she's
maybe horrible things are happening to her in her life. I can see
yeah.
how she would feel that. But that's when, you take a step back and you got to understand the roadblock here for her is understanding that she has to focus more on her actual life in the physical.
Yeah.
You
Focus
know,
focus on your life. Right. In the
focus
phys.
on your life. Take a break from the shadow work, because
Hmm.
you are correct in the shadow work where that is supposed to be emotional. You're supposed to heal through um, that type of work and stuff like that. But um, take a break from that too. You don't always be focused on that. You know, I mean, you're throwing
Yeah,
your
it's
vibration all over the place,
all
is what I'm
over.
saying.
Yeah. And you're not honing it in, you know?
Right, right.
And sometimes you do need to take a step back and have a fresh look at things,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
to help you unblock yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Damn
So we
roadblocks.
put some goals down for her to
Hmm.
work on before our next session, and one of the biggest things that came out of the session that is goal related is how can you bring more balance into your life with your spirituality, right? And so
Hmm.
I explained to her that it really feels like when you're doing the shadow work, your vibration is lowering itself because you're going through all these painful memories, and you're doing all this healing work, so you're a little bit lower. And then when you sit down 5 minutes later and you try to meditate and bring your vibration back up, it's like throwing you off a little bit. Like you've got to ease yourself, give yourself a couple days in between,
Yeah.
choose when you're going to do the shadow work.
Hmm.
Maybe it's at once every other week focus on one thing, right? And then maybe your meditation is not, maybe the meditation is not to gain anything other than a clearing your mind out.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
right. I mean, meditation doesn't have to be, because a lot of people that I know, they'll meditate in order to connect with spirit, or they'll go on the guided meditations.
Mm-hmm.
I go through the tree of life. I do all these things and my
Yeah.
inner temple and all this crazy stuff I do. But sometimes it's nice to just sit there and just realign yourself
Mm-hmm.
with the, I guess, nothingness, right? Just realign
Yeah.
your vibration, right?
Yeah.
So she's gonna try that. I mean, obviously she did feel better after talking to me about it, but I started to think about our listeners and started to think about other people out there who may be going through something similar. And I just wanted to bring it up and just talk about it because it's so important for people to understand there is no definitive end game for your
Mm-hmm.
spiritual life here. You're
Mm-hmm.
never going to complete all your work, never,
Right.
because more work is dumped on. It's kind of like working at a corporation. You got your desk, you got your
You do
tasks, you're
you
doing
do
your
all
work,
this great work,
you're doing all this great
and
work, and
the
then
next thing
boom,
you know, you get more work. Yeah,
yeah, somebody
exactly.
quits, and then you get all their work too because they left, right? So it's kind
Right.
of like the same thing where no matter how much work you do, and that's what also puts people into a spiral. They spiral
Yeah.
because they're like, I just want to break. I just want
Yes.
to, and then they don't understand, well, if my vibration's so high, why are these bad things still happening to me? Why did I had go through that breakup? Why did I lose my
Yeah.
job?
And
Well, you know,
sometimes you have to go through that though. Sometimes that's part of your journey is
yeah,
going through the ups and the downs. I've
yeah,
always told my kids you can't know good without bad. If everything was so good all the
right,
time, you would not know,
exactly,
you wouldn't realize that it's good
right,
because you wouldn't know the difference. So
right.
there's always a yin and a yang. There's
And
a
sometimes
balance.
you're the collateral damage in someone else's
Mm-hmm.
story.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
people don't understand that, and they forget because they're like, oh, why is this happening to me? Well, it's like it happened to you because you just happened to be there. And I mean,
yeah,
unfortunately, that's how it is.
it works. Yeah.
That's how it works. But it does create those roadblocks because sometimes you're like, you're almost creating the roadblocks for yourself, is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, right?
Yep.
Because you're putting up your walls, then all this doubt creeps in. Instead of just enjoying the journey and allowing it to be what it is, you're setting yourself up for all these expectations and stuff. And I really think that it's important for people to um, uh, loosely
Mm-hmm.
map out their journey in a journal. That's what the daily journaling is really for, so that you can go back and see the patterns and trends in your life. Because
Yep.
you're inundated with so many different things every day that
Yeah.
how are you going to know how anything connects? How are you going to know how
If you
anything?
don't, yeah, if you
Right,
don't write it down or, make a note
exactly.
of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we talk about that all the time with our clients, right? Patterns and trends and
Yes. Yeah.
um
That's our
looking
system.
for them. Yeah, looking
That we,
for it so
yeah,
that you can fix it or
yeah,
turn it around. Um,
yeah.
shit, I was gonna ask you something and I totally forgot.
Well, that's
You were
because I'm
going
just in a
on.
talkative mood. That's all.
Yeah, no, well, I appreciate that because I'm
I
less
know.
talkative today. But
That's okay. Your hair looks good.
oh, does it?
Yeah, I
Thanks.
think it does, actually.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
very
you're
much.
you're
I
you're
appreciate
welcome.
that.
You're welcome.
My
Not that
my
anybody
face
can
is
see it but me,
I
but I'm
know
just
my
saying.
face is puffy. I feel
Nah.
it was very long traveling, so that's why we missed last week because I was out of town.
Oh
But
yeah. We should have apologized to people, by the
yeah,
way.
sorry about that. I was
Yeah, Jamie was on vacation. She had to take a vacation.
yeah,
Yeah.
I need
And
a
I
vacation
mean,
from my vacation though.
yeah. Well, sometimes that's healthy
Ah,
too.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
So what would you, I remembered now. How would you, how would you give some advice on like how to raise your vibrations? You know how
Hmm.
you lower them and because of all these things happening, you get these roadblocks.
Hmm.
What are some things that people can do to raise them and have a clear
Hmm.
mind?
Um, that's an excellent question. And the number one thing that comes to my mind is gratitude.
Mm,
Gratitude. if you're truly grateful for things, right?
Yeah.
Um, you're going to feel higher vibrationally than when you're just kind of like, yeah, you know. Also practice non-attachment because that truly, like, I mean,
What do you
I'm
mean
not
by
a,
non-attachment?
well, I'm not attached to anything really. I mean,
Okay.
nothing material,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there's certain things in my home that I'm attached to, and
Right.
it's basically my altar and
Mm.
my cat, and I'm not really attached to anything else, okay?
Except for the cat.
Except for the cat and my altar and that's it. I mean, but my altar is my sacred space. It's,
Right.
consecrated. It's everything to me.
Right.
So, but everything else in my house, I don't care about.
Right.
I could literally live in a one room like one room apartment, a studio apartment, I guess is what I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to say, with nothing in it except for my altar and my cat. I would be happy because I'm
Yeah.
happy with myself. I'm happy in my own
Um.
space. I'm happy with me. It doesn't matter. No, nothing else matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say I don't have my days where I'm upset or I get,
Right. Of course.
maybe a little depressed here and there, or angry or whatever. But I also think that those emotions
Mm-hmm.
are not emotions I stuff. I don't stuff them away. I allow myself to feel them. And then once I have worked through those emotions, then I shift back into gratitude and say, okay, well, what do I have? What makes me feel so, I guess, complete?
Right. Yeah.
What is it around
Exactly.
me that makes me feel complete? What is it that I have in this moment? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so those
Mm-hmm.
things, but so the non attachment is knowing, what really truly makes me happy is knowing that I don't fucking need a thing. I don't need anything. That's what
Right.
makes me truly happy. And then my gratitude always goes towards, man, it took me years to get there.
Okay.
Because everybody wants
Yeah.
the latest, greatest, this, that, and the
Yeah.
other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everybody wants to, you know,
I definitely.
they want the money, like, and I have money too, but it's like, Jamie, like, I don't care about buying
Yeah.
stuff.
No.
I buy stuff
No.
for other people. I don't
I
buy stuff
do.
for me.
I do as well. Like for me, like my gratitude is definitely my kids. So that
Mm,
helps me raise my vibration. And I think I should work a little bit better on non-attachment stuff because I could live in a
hmm
one room shack and that's fine. As long as I had my kids. But um a nice dinner is really something I like.
Hey, and that's good too.
Going
I
to a
mean,
nice dinner, but the I think you bring up a good point with the non-attachment stuff because things are so we're in a day and age where everything is so materialistic,
oh,
right?
it's over the top.
And that can also cause a lot of blockage. Um, I also think, people in your life could help with that blockage, they could,
Mm,
you know, it's difficult when you're going through something and dealing with something that's stressful and in your life and trying to just get to meditation or get to um, doing anything spiritual for yourself because you're stuck, you
yeah,
know, mentally.
you're
Um,
so focused on gaining material things that you're missing out on the creation that you are, like the
mm,
beautiful human being that you are, because you're so worried about what other people are going to think or what. Like, I
right.
don't I don't care what people think. I mean, and I never really have.
Hmm.
So when you feel a little bit low and you want to do that, you want to raise your vibration. One other thing that you could do is you could just go sit in the sun, go ground
Oh,
yourself in the
yeah.
earth, put your feet in the grass. Depending on where you are, what the weather's like, obviously, if it's like the winter
Yeah.
time, you're not going to do that. But, go do that. Go be quiet in nature and bring yourself
Oh,
back,
yeah.
you know.
I love that.
Um,
The beach is for me.
yes, the beach is huge. Well, because the waves,
The
it's
sand,
all
the
powered by the
sun.
moon, right? So it's like
Yeah.
the moon empowers you. It really does. Do those things for yourself, but don't do it with an expectation of some kind of an outcome. And I think, like, when we talk
Hmm.
about manifesting and stuff, we're going to do a show on manifesting coming up. That's one of the things where people think that manifestation is something that's going to happen like instantly.
Instantly. Yes, I hear that all
Oh,
the
within the
time.
next, week or 6 months or this or that. And it's like it doesn't always work like that because your higher self works in conjunction with whatever you're doing on your timeline. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
So for example, I manifested my perfect someone, right? And we're not going to go into names, we're not going to do anything, but I listed all of these things.
Right.
This was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Yeah.
3 years ago, I said, you know what? This is what I want. I want this, and this in a person, right?
Right.
And as time went on, guess what happened? I started getting frustrated because I was like, why isn't this coming to fruition? Like, what the
Yes,
fuck?
like
Like, what's going
I'm
on?
doing everything
I'm
right. I'm
doing everything
I'm
right, blah, blah,
manifesting the
blah.
shit out of this.
I am
What
manifesting the
the
shit out of this
fuck is
bitch. And I'm
happening?
telling you, yes. And so, but then that caused a spiritual roadblock for me
Yeah,
because
it
then
does.
I said, this shit doesn't even fucking work.
Right. Then you
And then,
stop and you stop
right.
believing in yourself and you stop
Then you stop
you
believing,
and
right? Then you
you're
think your whole journey's junk and you're like, oh, my
and you
journey's junk now. And it's
lower
like,
your vibrations
my
and then
vibrations get low.
that's
Exactly.
it. That's it.
And then
And you
three
give
years
up.
later, yeah, exactly. And then 3 years later, like we kind of met.
Hmm.
Not, it's a long story. It doesn't matter.
It
But,
is. It is.
I'm just saying that, manifestation, you've got to understand like your higher self is never going to sit there and allow you to manifest something that is not really going to be good for you or
Right.
something that you need in order to propel yourself forward, you know?
Right. You can't sit there and try to manifest, oh, I need $1 million. Like the universe isn't going to give you $1 million. Like
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
it's definitely that's going to be a good one, a good show to talk about
It,
because
yeah, it is.
there's so many different things out there that people think like it's supposed some people just think
Hmm.
it's supposed to be instantaneous,
Yeah.
and
And
that's
it's
just
not.
not how it works because maybe you aren't ready for it. Maybe you aren't ready for what you're asking for. Maybe you're not
Well,
in a place to be ready for it.
right. It breeds a lot of toxic positivity too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they
Yeah.
think, and but then that also leads to again like the spiritual roadblocks. There are people who are like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good enough because I'm trying to manifest. I'm being positive all the time.
Yep.
I'm doing all these things, and nothing is coming to me. And then they start going down the rabbit hole of low self-worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just it's like they crumble. So this is the thing where it's like the second you start to feel like you're not good enough, especially to be here, or you're not good enough to be loved, or you're not good enough to have what you need or what you want, you need to take a step back from your spirituality and ground yourself and
Mm-hmm.
equal out or kind of like level set your vibration. You're too far into and I tell people this all the time, you can't be in a higher vibration all the time. You
Right.
can't, because
You can't.
you're missing out on valuable lessons, um you know that you can get when you're sometimes in a little bit of a lower vibration.
Yeah. Balance.
It's about the balance, and really the best vibrational state to be in my opinion, is the middle. You don't want to be too high, you don't want to be too low, you want to be in the middle,
I,
because in the middle you can do a 360 and see everything.
yeah. That's a
Okay.
good point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how things go with her. Have you had any clients come to you recently with any kind of spiritual roadblock issues or?
Um, I mean, I wouldn't say spiritual. They've had other roadblocks,
Hmm.
with just getting you know, career wise or relationship wise. And it's
Hmm.
like sometimes you do it to yourself,
Hmm.
you kind of put yourself in that your own way, you get in your own way,
Hmm.
and so just by doing our trends and looking through things and seeing where you keep making the same mistakes over and over and not getting
Hmm.
a better outcome, um, that causes a lot of mental roadblocks too, because
Right.
you start thinking you're not good enough, and um, you know, this person's better than you for this job, and even though you have all these, experience or whatever the case may
Hmm.
be, but you start getting in your own way
Right.
and giving your putting your putting your own self down. And then it's sometimes it's really hard to get out of that. I've had a client that's just depression is hard.
Hmm.
And I don't deal with mental stuff like that, but I'm just saying like it's hard to get out of your own way.
Right.
Um, and I go through that myself sometimes. I get in my own way. Um, I go down this little rabbit hole and I gotta call Jen so she can pull me back out of it and remind me that, I'm good and beautiful the way I am, no
Hmm.
matter the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. It's all a part of me. So I
Right.
think I didn't encounter a spiritual one yet, but mostly like just
Hmm.
I wouldn't say mental, but getting in their own roadblocks, I guess
Hmm.
is what I'm trying to
Well,
say.
yeah, life itself is you're gonna have all these roadblocks in your life,
Hmm.
no matter what area of your life, maybe with your family, maybe with your job, maybe with your
Relationship,
school,
yeah.
relationships. Yeah, who
I
the
had,
fuck knows? I mean,
yeah.
but if you're on also on a spiritual journey,
Hmm.
understand that it's all intertwined. So don't think you can just do well in one area of your life,
Right.
right? That's what I tell clients all the time. Don't think that you can just do well in your career and then do mediocre with your shadow work in your healing journey, right? For
Yeah.
example, just an example, because you need to bring balance to every area of your life.
Right. And sometimes that's hard. It's hard to,
Oh, it is.
I mean,
But
oh
that's why people
God,
go to life coaching, though.
yeah. And,
That's that's why people come to us.
it's hard and I know and I've been there and I understand because I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I have a 9 to 5 job. Um, I have to do, baseball practice and cheerleading and this and that and cook dinner and laundry. Like, and be a good boss and be this
Hmm.
and so it is about balance. It's you can't give I had a client, sorry, it just reminded me that um just trying so desperately to get done with school so quickly, like the quickest way to get done. um and she's a mother, she's got a small child and a relationship and all these things, and just feeling like piling so much on herself and then not feeling like she's able to complete things. So she added 3 classes. She did 3 classes and it was heavy classes. Um, and she came to me one day and she was just like, I'm failing. Like I'm failing one of my classes. I can't keep up with the schoolwork. I can't do this and that. And then just feeling like a failure. She was giving her own self roadblocks. It's like, well, why do you feel that you need to do all of this in one time? Like, I
Hmm.
get it, you want to graduate school, that's great, but do you want to graduate and have mediocre grades
Right.
or do you want to be able to give your all in each class? Right now, you're spreading yourself so thin, you're not able to
Right.
keep up with your schoolwork. You're not able to keep up with the testing and, you know, starting to get bad grades. Like maybe you should think about dialing it back so you can focus.
Right.
Um, so putting too much on yourself can also create those roadblocks because you're spreading yourself so thin. You're not able to give,
Right.
100% to each thing. Um, so that's
But that's
definitely
that's
something
what
we
I'm
work
saying.
through.
Yeah, no, and you make a great point because that's definitely kind of what my client's going through right now, except for the fact that it's spiritual based, right? Like she's trying
Yeah,
to do all these different things, and it's like, you focus on one thing,
at a time.
kind of at a time, because especially if you're someone that gets easily overwhelmed,
Yeah,
by things that you can't explain, because like I had said before, it's not like you're opening the Bible and reading it and saying, okay,
yeah.
this is what it is, and then you're
Hmm.
trying to digest that material. This, like when you're on your own spiritual journey, like a true spiritual journey, where it's you are facing your own soul and your own higher self, and you're wondering how it fits into everything else around you in the
Hmm.
physical plane. It's like there's no fucking rule book for it. There's no
There is
reference book.
no, well, there's no reference book for life, but there's no reference book
No, there
yeah,
isn't.
for
There
where you're going to
isn't.
go. And especially if you're like an overachiever. And that was part of my client's issues that
Yeah.
She's an overachiever. She's got straight A's in college, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then now you're failing in one of your, not failing, I wouldn't say failing, but like you get a C on one of your tests and she's
Sure.
like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing?" Well, you're spreading yourself too thin. And you're trying to be an overachiever and it's not working. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. You want to get good grades and you can do that, but you can't do all of these things at one time.
Right,
So,
exactly.
just bringing that to her attention and making her realize it's okay if you drop one of your classes now, like, you know, and then take it another time. Um, and she ended up doing that. She was still within her dropping period, whatever. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going down my rabbit hole, but she
Yeah,
was
you're
able
going
to
down
feel
your own rabbit hole today.
she
That's
was
okay.
she was able to feel better is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like it changed her outcome because
right.
she realized it's okay to not have to do everything all at once.
Well, I mean, there's so much pressure on everybody. I worry about
Yeah.
people. I especially worry about the younger generations, that are
Oh
upcoming.
yeah.
And man, they've got every
Social
weight of the
media.
every weight of the world on their goddamn shoulders. And you
Yeah.
sit there and you're like, Jesus Christ. And on top of it, you want to have your own spiritual practice too. Like I've
Hmm.
seen a lot of younger kids like that. And I'm saying I sit there and say, look, this is all great, but don't put that pressure on yourselves.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to accomplish it all in one setting. Like allow
Right.
yourself to enjoy this journey,
Hmm.
because it will literally never end. You
Yeah.
know?
It's about the journey, not the destination. That's what
Exactly,
I tell
exactly.
my kids when we go on a road trip.
So what's the longest break that you've ever taken from your journey because you just felt like you were
Mm,
like I don't know, lost on
I
it
would
maybe? I
say
don't.
like a month, maybe.
Hmm. Yeah,
It could be a couple months. Like it's been, yeah, I
yeah.
would say the longest is about a month or so.
I took about 2 years off, believe it
Mm,
or not. And I'm
wow.
gonna blame my twin flame for that because like that whole thing was murderous for me. So and we
Yeah,
talked
I
about that was
remember that.
yeah, two shows ago we talked about the twin flame journey.
Yeah,
And it was for me, it was murderous. I mean,
yeah,
I'm grateful for it because man, I got a lot of healing done, but it was difficult. And I said, you know what? I
it
don't want to fucking do
was.
anything anymore.
Yeah,
I don't want
yeah,
to do nothing, you know?
yeah. I
So
yeah, I've felt like that. Just I can't. Like I see all my crystals and I see my books and I'm like I just couldn't,
yeah.
I just don't
But
have
then
the
people start
energy.
feeling guilty.
Yes.
People start feeling
Yes.
guilty because they're like, oh, I got all these books, I got these fucking
Yes.
crystals everywhere.
Look at all this. What am
I
I
used to burn
doing?
incense every day, and now
Right.
I don't do anything. And it's like
I don't do
now the guilt,
anything.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't feel
The
guilty,
guilt.
man.
No,
Stop feeling guilty. Stop beating
there's no
yourself
reason to
up.
feel guilty.
You want to take a couple months off. You want to take a year off. What do you want to stop altogether? You
Like
want to
it's
just go
fine.
live in in the physical world and just not think about anything deep. That's okay.
It
Give
is.
your mind a break. I mean, we forget that
I mean,
we still have
it's
things to
not,
do.
we're not a church, we're not a, a church
Yeah.
that's gonna make you feel guilty about it.
No.
I felt, and we talked about that a long time ago, your personal truth, when you
Hmm.
finally realize and you wake up and you see things for what they are, you start
Yep.
feeling guilty about the things you used to think. Sorry,
Yes.
I'm not making sense on that one. My dogs started distracting me. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
Oh,
Sometimes I wish that this podcast was like video recorded because I would have told you hold the dog up for everybody, but
yeah, I
forget it. They
guess
can't see it. They
they
can't see the
can't.
dog.
They can't
No,
see the dogs.
no, but I know what you're saying. I mean, like the guilt and the feeling, you just start rehashing things in your mind that you don't need to rehash. It can become a very dangerous situation for some people, right? And I think that's where, again, it's like I can't stress to people enough. You're not in a race against anybody. Sometimes I think people get aggravated, or I think that they are feeling this way because they don't want to have to reincarnate and do this shit again. They're like, I want to do every fucking lesson now, right? Because I'm not coming back here. I'm
I'm
not
not
coming
coming.
back,
I'm
bitch.
not
I'm
coming
not
back
doing
to
it.
deal with this shit.
Right. Exactly. But like I said, sometimes
That's funny.
you're collateral damage. Sometimes you have, contracts with other people,
Okay, yeah.
karmics come in and out of your life, to play
Mm-hmm.
games with you and to do all
Mm-hmm.
these things. And it's kind of like, you know, the whole thing is a mystery. It's going to be a mystery until,
Yep.
you go back home,
We
basically,
definitely need
go to
to
source.
have a reincarnation talk.
Uh, I would
That's
love
a
to.
whole nother thing.
I think I told the pilgrim story about that past life regression that I did, right? Yeah, I mean, I think I
No,
did.
I don't remember you talking about. No, no, I
Yeah,
don't think we've
yes, yes,
done.
yes. I think on the Twin Flame Journey show, I talked about it. Um,
Oh, oh yes, yep. I
maybe
remember.
maybe not in detail or something, but like
No, it
that.
didn't get
But
that deep.
you know what? I'd like to get some guests on the show. If anybody out there um, is an expert
Yeah, that would be
at
good.
yeah, at past life regressions or reincarnation or even near death experience, I'd love to get somebody on the show who could
Yeah.
who could talk about near death experience because I think that's very fascinating. Give us an email, and
Hmm.
let us know because we'll book you. We'll book you 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, I would like that. I mean, someone else's voice
Yeah, yeah.
interjecting with us would be great.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have plenty of people coming on the show, and if you have a great idea for a show, anybody listening, if there's something that you want us to talk about or you want our opinions on, email us, let us know.
Yep.
This was a good conversation today. I enjoyed this, and again, like I just felt really compelled to talk about it because
Hmm.
I don't, especially people who are just starting out, I don't want anyone feeling like they're failing at anything at any point on the journey. You're just
Right.
not failing. It's just not true.
You're
That's your
not failing.
ego
There's no
fucking with
pass
you.
fail here.
There's no
Uh,
pass fail.
There
No,
isn't A's and B's, pass, fail, nothing.
no.
Everybody's journey is different, and because we're all individuals and it's going to be different.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
no
exactly.
one's going to be the same.
Right. All right. Well, listen, I
Oh,
mean, I just want to thank you, Jamie, for coming on, even though you're tired and getting out from your travels.
it's all good.
You were a great sport today. And thanks to
Thanks.
everybody. Yeah, exactly. And thanks to everybody for tuning in today. Join us again next Wednesday for another original podcast, which I think we're going to do the signs and synchronicities next week.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll definitely do that one next week. And also, don't forget to check out our website, www.metaphysicalworldwide.com.
Yeah, there you can read weekly blogs, check out our different services. You can book a free 30-minute consultation with us. Um, Also, we do have intuitive life coaching courses, so you can check that out. And remember, no matter where you are in your journey, our purpose is you.